Good day, gentlemen. Welcome back to Building Your Faith, where we are reminded each and every day that faith is not something you have, it is something you live. As always, make sure you have your notes and your Bible and something to write with so that you can follow along with us today. It's good to see you again. I hope you enjoyed your weekend. Maybe you had some time off school. Maybe some of you were working on your own ahead, or you were catching up. I know there are a couple people who did not quite finish with all of the work for this class from last week, especially some of those sermon notes from Thursday. So if you were one of those who did not finish, make sure you get those in. Normally I would prefer to ask you what you did over the weekend, but right now I can't really do that. As far as me, I didn't really do too much interesting. It's just kind of staying at home. I didn't go anywhere. Got to watch church, which was awesome. So hope you got to attend some kind of church service yourself, despite the fact that you maybe can't actually go to church in a car, but you're still able to watch something maybe from your church or from another church if your church isn't doing some of the live streaming services or things like that. Let's see. This Friday, I would like us to plan on having a little discussion on Discord together. I'm going to hopefully create a little, audio chat group. Some of you may not be able to do audio speaking chat with us, and that'd be fine. You could definitely listen along and, type out things. But I'm actually going to, on Google Classroom, make a little poll, and I want you to go on there and vote for what topic you would like us to start with. We're going to try and set a time for that. The goal is for it to be about 1 o'clock. We will get on Discord, start an audio call, and actually be able to hopefully discuss some things as a group. And we're going to see how it works. So, yeah, whenever I post that on Google Classroom, go vote so we can choose an interesting topic. Maybe something you have questions about. Maybe you're like, hey, what on earth does the Bible have to say about that? Or even, what does that have to do with the Bible? Okay. Let's see, where were we? We were over here in our notes. Yes, the tongue. We're talking about leadership with the tongue and how it increases responsibility. What we say matters, and we will be held accountable for what we say and how it influences other people. One day, God's going to hold us accountable. We're, of course, in James chapter 3. I hope that's where you are in your Bibles. We're going to read just a few verses as we continue. James chapter 3, I'm looking here at verses 2 through 6. Okay, James 3, 2 through 6. Make sure you read along with me. Yes, you? Mm-hmm. Yep. Open your Bibles. Yeah, I know. Some of y'all. Mm-hmm. Okay. So, James 3, 2. For in many things we offend all. If any man offend not in word, the same is a perfect man, and able also to bridle the whole body. Behold, we put bits in the horses' mouths, that they may obey us, and we turn about their whole body. That's talking about horses' mouths, right? Bits, things. Yeah, we'll cover that in a second. Continuing on, verse 4. Behold also the ships, which, though they be so great, and are driven of fierce winds, yet are they turned about with a very small helm, whithersoever the governor listeth. Even so, the tongue is a little member, and boasteth great things. Behold, how great a matter a little fire kindleth. And the tongue is a fire, a world of iniquity. So is the tongue among our members, that it defileth the whole body, and setteth on fire the course of nature, and it is set on fire of hell. The tongue, or using the tongue properly, is the key to self-control. If you don't use your words the right way, you're not going to have control of yourself. That's what James is talking about here. And in fact, when he's speaking in verse 2 there, for in many things we offend all. If any man offend not in word, the same is a perfect man. James says if you can control your tongue, you can actually control your entire self. You're perfect. What does that mean? Well, the only person who's ever actually been able to control their tongue, truly, was Jesus. It's the only one. Because our tongue is evidence of what's in our heart. Right? We're told in the Old Testament, out of the heart, the mouth speaks. Whatever's in your heart is going to come out. And because we're sinners, because we do wrong, because, frankly, we're evil, then evil things must come out of our mouth. And sometimes it's a quick response, a quick word that was wrong. Or we said something to even somebody we like, but it came out wrong. And that's because in our hearts, we have a sin problem. So if you can control your tongue, well then everything else you can take care of. You don't have to worry about it. If only it were that easy, that would be wonderful. So using the tongue properly is the key to self-control. You can never take back the words that you say. You can make restitution for stealing, cheating, anything that you take, you can pay back. If you stole something from a store, you could pay them back the money for it. But you can't take back words that you say. Once they're out, and they're going to have an effect on other people. And sure, you can say sorry and ask for forgiveness, but the words were said. And as we know, sometimes words hurt a lot. When you're being disciplined, there's different ways that people go about it, and sometimes the words that are spoken hurt. Sometimes maybe it's deserved hurt. You know what I mean? If you're in the wrong and the words that are spoken are truth, they hurt, but they're correct words. And sometimes the words that are spoken that hurt are just hurtful. You know what? Can't take them back. Your own words that you speak to others, sometimes they could be just hurtful. Even though our tongue is a very small part of our body, it has an incredibly efficient influence over our entire person. So until we're able to harness our tongue's influence, what we say, then we will never be able to bring our whole person under self-control, self-discipline. Let me pause, take a drink of my coffee. If you need some, go get it. It's got to be like we're in class here, right? Although, different coffee cup, not the one that I have for class, but hopefully that's okay. So, James gives us a few examples of the tongue. Okay, so the first one, the tongue is like a horse's bit. Some of you are horse people, so I say horse's bit, and you're like, okay, I know all about that, everything about that. And some of you are not horse people, and you're like, a bit? What's a bit? And some of you are like me, who are peripherally horse people. My mom grew up raising horses. She had 2 different horses growing up, and her sister had a couple. Her grandpa had several. My mom used to do several different 4-H events. And some of you, I say 4-H, and you're like, 4-H? So, so I grew up knowing some stuff about horses, but not having tons of experience myself. I've gone riding, I don't know, maybe 20 times in my life, maybe less. But some of you know more about this than I do. Okay, so the tongue, James says, is like a horse's bit. Bits for horses have been used for thousands of years, right? bits come in a bunch of different shapes and sizes. It's a piece of metal, goes inside the horse's mouth, like that. And it helps the rider communicate to the horse what you want the horse to do. And it does that by, well, you have the bit, and then you have your bridle. That's the other paraphernalia, all the different straps and things that go around the horse's head. And then you can hold on to the reins behind it, and as you pull on part of the reins, then it will pull on that bit just a little bit. And so the horse will feel that pressure and go, oh, okay, I guess we're going this way. And you pull on the reins on this side a little bit, and the horse feels that bit pull back, and a little bit of pressure. So the rider's supposed to be able to use that bit to communicate with the horse and tell the horse, hey, here's what we're going. This is the way I need you to go. Or go fast, where you give the horse some slack so that it can jog and you're not pulling that bit back against the little soft corners of their mouth there. Now, it's not normally meant to hurt, though it certainly could if you were to have a heavy hand and kind of yank it a little bit. But it's meant to control the horse. And if the horse was to try and run fast or do something completely opposite what the rider wants, and the rider were to give a fairly strong pull, then the horse would feel that and go, oh, this is what I'm not supposed to do, right? So the tongue is like a horse's bit, okay? Bits are normally 5 inches long. They could come in a little bit bigger, maybe up to 6 or 6.5 if you've got like a gigantic Clydesdale. Could be a little bit smaller for smaller horses, 1/2 inch around or so. Often less than a pound, maybe just over a pound. And they can control a 1,000-pound animal. This is just this little piece of metal. Just put it right in their mouth. Gentle pulls once they're trained. And you can take a big old animal, guide it right where you want to. Take a giant horse, 1,800 pound, and just show them exactly where you need them to go. In fact, when they used to, we don't have it as much anymore, but when they would used to have like stagecoaches or things like that, and you have a whole team of horses all attached to your carriage, you can guide all of them. 4,000 or 5,000 pound animals, 6,000 pound animals, exactly where you want them to go, just by gentle tug of the reins. That's what our tongue is. Your tongue's like a bit, because even though it's small, it's less than a pound, it kind of determines the course of your life. Say the wrong thing to the wrong person, gets you fired from a job, gets you kicked out of school, you lose your phone for a week. Say the right thing to the right person, you get a college scholarship, you get on a sports team, you get a great job. Your tongue controls a lot of things. Say the right thing to the right person and you get to lead them to Christ. Say the wrong thing to someone, they reject Christians forever and God himself because of it. Tongue can have earthly consequences and eternal consequences. Next, the tongue is like a ship's rudder. James says in verse 4, "Behold also the ships, which though they be so great, and are driven of fierce winds," massive ships. Even in James's day, they had pretty big ships. Big ships, and the wind drives them, yet are they turned about with a very small helm, whithersoever the governor listeth. So wherever the driver wants it to go, they turn their wheel, and that rudder turns the ship. Turns them exactly where they want to go. We have a ship in the United States fleet. It's called the USS Abraham Lincoln. It's one of our aircraft carriers. It's actually a Nimitz-class carrier. It's one of the older ones, but it's one that I could actually find all the statistics for online. Could not find some of the new Gerald Ford-class ones. If you like military ships, those are our new super carriers that are gigantic and pretty awesome. But Nimitz-class carriers do just fine. Anyway, so the USS Abraham Lincoln, it has a rudder that is 29 feet tall. 29 feet tall. 22 feet wide. Almost just knocked this over. Whoops. Yeah, so 29 feet tall, 22 feet wide, and weighs 45 tons, or 90,000 pounds. 90,000 pounds. Seems like a huge rudder, right? It's pretty big. It's huge, in fact. Actually, no. Nope. Compared to the ship that it carries, which you see on your screen there, that can hold, 80 airplanes, right? It's got the full runway on it. In comparison to the ship, the USS Abraham Lincoln is not 22 feet long. In fact, it is more than 3 football fields in length. That's more than 300 yards long. Just, if you take a second to picture that in your head, that is a massive ship. Huge. In comparison to the ship, this rudder is small. The USS Abraham Lincoln weighs not 90,000 pounds, about 95,000 tons. 95,000 tons. That is 190 million pounds. That's a lot of pounds. And yet, this rudder, 29 feet tall, 22 feet wide, 45 tons, that can drive the whole ship. Tells it exactly where you want it to go. The rudder weighs less than 0.05 of 1% of the whole weight of the ship. And yet it still drives it everywhere across the entire ocean that you want it to go. Its nuclear reactor can drive it for a really long time out on the ocean, and it can go all over the place with just this one giant rudder. Now, it's the key to self-control, right? Using our tongue is the key to self-control, just like a rudder. That's what James says. Well, can you imagine if this rudder would have a problem? The ship would be dead in the water. The little piece fell off. The ship would be completely dead in the water. You couldn't go anywhere. If your tongue were to have a problem, you were to use it the wrong way, your life could be dead in the water. Right? Using our tongue properly is the key to self-control. James uses one more example. He says, the tongue is like a little fire. Little fire, huh? Little fire. Well, in the U.S., we have an average of 7 million acres destroyed per year from wildfires, forest fires, brush fires, those kind of things. 7 million acres. Sounds like quite a bit, but actually that is not, it's not a huge area. Nah, definitely not at all. Not a huge area, not compared to some other fires that you may have heard about. But every year there are lots of raging wildfires that destroy people's homes. Sometimes there are fires that, like 2 years ago, there was the Camp Fire over in California. Left about 30,000 people homeless because it destroyed quite a few homes. Came through a town called Paradise in California. If you happen to remember that. And that was one of our biggest fires. Well, that one wasn't even the size of the state of Rhode Island. It was big, but it wasn't very big at all in comparison when you look at fires, because if you look at this one right here, there we go, that's a picture of the Australian wildfires from earlier this year. We have an average of 7 million acres destroyed by fire per year in the U.S. 7 million from all the fires combined. One brush fire, massive brush fire, 27 million acres destroyed. 27 million acres. That's the size of the state of Virginia burned down by fire. Thankfully, Most of Australia is uninhabited, so it actually didn't take many lives or destroy lots of cities or things like that. But as far as forest area, yeah, it's the state of Virginia just burned down. The whole thing burned to the ground. It's crazy. And fires like that can be set by little thing. One campfire not put out right in the wrong area of the land, you've got yourself a massive, massive fire. Using the tongue properly is the key to self-control. If you don't control your tongue the right way, everything else will be out of control. So, we'll go ahead and stop there for today. I think, where's my recording stuff? There it is. So, just a reminder, make sure that you go and answer the multiple choice question topic thing for our discussion Friday. Try and plan to be around Friday at 1 o'clock. If you cannot be around, I would like you to send me a message on Discord, which is, as always, it's over there in the corner. See it? Right there. Yes. There are like 3 of you, 2 of you, or 1 of you who has not gotten on here. So you need to get on. Maybe I'll just have to start calling you by name, or have your friend just text you, or I'll have to email your parents. All right, well, I hope you have a nice day today with the rest of your day. I will be seeing you in a couple days. All right, bye-bye.